No, I'm not saying that because
I
that
mean,
just is
it's
probably
just weird.
if when things that are unethical like that just happen, you got to think is God really saying that? No, because God wouldn't do something like that. How often do you really know at 11 years old, you know, whether or not you want to marry somebody?
Especially
You know,
somebody that's like your father's age, or somebody that previously was a stepfather. I watched this
yeah.
documentary recently about
Oh, it doesn't
a
matter.
polygamist who is married to two of his stepdaughters who are sisters, and they were both underage and married to the mother when but
No, I'm
it's
not laughing at.
crazy.
No, I'm not laughing at that, but I'm just. I forgot exactly what I was laughing at, but yeah. But I'm trying to keep the combo. Sometimes I gotta make a joke.
You gotta get
I
serious.
don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
You gotta lighten the mood. We're talking about like
yeah,
underage
we're talking about
marriage
some
and
serious things. 11-year-olds in marriage.
no, I
Yeah.
just think really what I'm saying is that
I
our world is like there's so much sick in our world. Like,
well, I felt like I was ready to marry a girl in kindergarten.
well,
Like,
yeah, but when you're in kindergarten, the idea of
but you
marriage
don't.
is pretty innocent.
But here's the thing: without the education to people, now maybe a 10-year-old could be ready to marry. I'm just saying. Let's think about this.
Well,
With
when
no.
you're
Think about this. Like with if a 10-year-old gets the proper education of what like and is has a very good understanding of what makes a good marriage and how to do it,
I don't
then
think that
chances
there's
are.
a 10-year-old in this world who genuinely has the emotional capacity
I agree.
to actually
I
be
agree.
married. Because
And
I
I
was
agree.
26 when I got married,
Yeah.
and I realized at 33 I still don't have the emotional compatibility to
I
be
know.
married.
I agree.
So,
I
I mean,
agree. But
like,
you're not. But you're thinking of it in yeah, totally rational sense.
I'm like,
But at the same time, you're not thinking about it in the way that I am, in a sense of it with the proper education and different future technologies that can be learned, kind of like the Matrix, where you can just upload data. You and this would have to be in the pretty distant, 200 years from now, or distant future, of being able to see, 10 years might be nothing. You might be able to learn so much in 10 years compared to what we can now, you know. And so, not to say that you should be in a hurry to marry at 10 years old, but I realistically think that
so
with
you genuinely believe at some point in this world 10-year-olds will be emotionally mature enough to marry like 40-year-old men?
like 40-year-old men.
I mean, that's what
Uh,
was happening, is that they
uh,
were marrying 10, 11, 12-year-old girls to men who have wives that could be their mother's age, or it was their
now,
mother.
I would never myself ever in the history of man, after like I would never date an underage girl.
I mean,
But say if I went to an 18-year-old girl and I started dating her, which would be it would be weird for me because I'm freaking
okay,
32.
but you're legally able to make those
But
kinds of
why?
decisions when you're 18 because
Right,
you have a little
legally.
you're
But
legally,
but
but the
why?
reason why is not because you can't learn that brain development. Your brain is literally at 10 years old still developing. There's not a 10-year-old in this
Yes.
world whose brain is complex enough to actually comprehend. You can't learn that. Like
You're
that's
thinking
not a
of it in a
learned
very, but
behavior.
you're still thinking of it in a very three-dimensional.
Because that's the only way
Uh,
to think of it. There's no possible way. Like, you cannot teach a person maturity. You can't. It's
See,
not,
in the future you might.
but that's not, but what would we do? But you're talking about living in a matrix. In the future, we will not live in
Not
a matrix.
exactly to. I'm not talking literally the frickin'
But
movie,
no
but
matter what, though,
it's
no
a
amount
form.
of information can emotionally mature a person. It's not
There
possible.
are things that once you connect brain cells to brain cells, then you can
But
unlock
that's
certain
not.
things in your brain. And I knew for some reason, like I was in kindergarten. I mean it would not have been good for me to try to marry. Yeah, like.
Okay, but you're not talking about marrying a
but-
40-year-old while you're 10. You're talking about marrying another kindergartner.
Well, see, some 40-year-olds have the maturity of a 10-year-old. So.
Well, that
like,
clearly shows that if a 40-year-old is still immature, then you gotta understand how immature the 10-year-old is.
But how are they gonna? No, I.
There's just, I mean, there like you literally, when you are 10 years old, your brain physically is not fully developed. Your brain is still physically growing.
Yes.
At 10 years old,
Yes.
your brain has not developed the parts that are needed to be capable of being emotionally mature enough to get married to anybody. It's not possible. It's not physically possible.
It's not possible at this stage, yes.
But
Yes.
no amount of information, no amount of technology can ever make a person's brain physically grow. Neurons. You can't. If that was the case, then MS would be cured.
If you can make like 30 years of information in a 10-year period.
But information is not the same as.
No, what I'm saying is it would literally be experiences.
But no matter how much, but you can have a person, you can have a genius who has lived in a bubble his whole life, know everything, but have no emotional maturity.
Well,
You
yeah,
can't
of course.
learn that, no matter how smart a person is. That's something that, like,
It's-
that has to develop.
No, it's the school system that in the future will if
But
that's the goal of emotional maturity, then
But
like
no,
the school
but
system
but
will
the school system
implement
cannot.
that
But the school
to
system
learn.
cannot physically make a person's brain grow neurons. It's not possible. It is not science.
If you have the
It's
right
not.
diet,
No,
if you
it's
have the
not.
right,
If that was the
and-
case, MS would be that would be gone, because MS is where your body eats your own brain. Okay, so yeah, when you're 10 years old, your whole brain isn't even fully developed. There's parts of your brain that are not there yet.
women are maturing at younger and younger ages.
Physically, not
physically.
emotionally.
Yes,
There's
physically,
a difference.
That's very
You're yes, an 8-year-old girl gets her period now because she's been drinking estrogen from a cow
Yeah,
her whole
because
life.
yeah.
Her brain is still only the size of an 8-year-old. No matter how big her boobs are, she still only has an 8-year-old sized brain. That's what I'm trying to express to you. As you get older, your brain physically grows because your brain is making new parts. At 10 years old, your brain does not have the physical part that makes you emotionally mature enough to be married. It's not physically there, and nothing can make that be there. You can't make a person's brain grow faster than it.
There would be some 10-year-olds that would be perfectly fine marrying people.
Not
And have a
emotional.
successfully.
No, because that part of a
If you-
child's brain is not
if you give 'em-
developed.
if you
it's
give 'em-
not there. It's
If you
not,
each
No,
give them
because
$50,000,
because
$50,000 a year.
no amount of scripture in anybody's Bible is going to get me to ever believe on a scientific level that a 10-year-old could ever physically in their brain be developed enough to be emotionally mature enough to understand what marriage is. No.
Well, no, they might not necessarily understand the whole thing, but when
You
do we
can't-
always?
Because when you become 18, there's parts of your brains that are there that weren't there when
Well,
you were 10.
there's
If you take a picture of a 10-year-old MRI of a brain and an 18-year-old MRI of a brain, there is going to be physical features that are in an 18-year-old's brain that are not in a 10-year-old's brain because it is not developed yet. Your brain
but
grows and develops through the first years of your life. Until you're about 18 to 25, your brain is still growing parts and pieces. It's not all there.
If you can be an expert on an instrument, like a violin,
that
at
has
10 years old, You can be an expert
No,
at marriage.
you can't, Billy, because
You can have deep emotional ties
because
from
there's
another
not.
life.
No, because there's not a
You
part
can-
in a
you can be
brain. There's
connected.
not a part in your brain that makes it so you are naturally ready. Like not like what I'm saying is like you're like trying to argue like some like not argue, but you're trying to like this is factual. There is proven fact that at 10 years old, that there's parts of like it's just not there. Like that part of a person's brain is not there.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. Like you can't be emotionally mature until your body has those parts, until you're producing those hormones, until your brain is working. It's just not there. Like you can't. That's why even a teenager having a child, like they're not. It's just they're not fully capable of understand. Yes, eventually, if you got married at 10 years old, maybe by the time you're 18,
I was perfectly emotionally mature at 10 years old.
not enough to get married.
Yeah, I could have got married.
Well, then your brain is like on a whole nother level, Billy, because because it's not.
You're welcome.
It's not possible. Like your brain, there's parts of your brain that do not grow.
I get what you're saying,
like a
but I
baby's
do.
brain is not developed when it's born. Like they're like throughout the first like 20 so years of your life, like your brain is still growing. There's still pieces of it that are not there, like physically are not there.
I'll totally get what you're saying.
So then how can you argue that a 10-year-old can learn that? That's not a learned behavior. Not in that sense. No, it is not. And if you took a 10-year-old and introduced her to something as traumatic as having to marry a 4-year-old, there's proof that PTSD stops brain development.
I mean, I'm not saying, it's not like, you have to say that 2 10-year-olds are going to get married and they're going to have relations.
Between 2 10-year-olds, though.
I ain't saying they're going to get jiggy with
but
it.
There's a difference between, I'm talking about Warren Jeffs was a 40-year-old man and would go knock on a door. I'm going to marry your 11-year-old. Not I'm an 11-year-old and I want to marry your 11-year-old. I'm a 40-year-old man and I have grandchildren as old as your 11-year-old daughter, but I'm going to take your 11-year-old daughter and fuck her and get her pregnant and it's just no.
Maybe he knew that was his wife from his last life.
But what does
Would that be okay?
What does that got to do with the 10-year-old mind? No, it's not. I have an 11-year-old niece. And I will fight tooth and nail. I do not care. Physically, she is taller than me. But her mind is this. She's only 11. There's not there yet. That part of her emotion is not there. Like emotion and logic are two different parts of a system. They're not the same. It's not. Like, we don't live in a matrix. We don't hook up to a machine.
I do every night.
Well, then you're not a human. You're a Cylon.
Oh, don't freaking give me that I'm not human crap. I'm sick of people telling me I'm not human.
Well, if you're...
I'm sick of it.
I'm just saying, Billy.
I'm sick of it.
It's just not... It's just not there. Like, it's just not.
I take blood tests, too. I have red blood.
Cylons can bleed.
I have red blood.
Yeah, so do Cylons. You ain't never seen Battlestar Galactica?
No.
Well, you should see it.
Someday.
Well, I got all of it. I just gotta find all the DVDs and stuff.
In my next life, I'm going to download it so it just jots in my memory.
I think it's on Netflix, but I can try to start finding the discs and we can binge on some Battlestar. I love Battlestar Galactica.
Did you ever see the Orville?
No.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Fringe is a really good one too. Fringe. J.J. Abrams, the guy that did the first, directed Force Awakens, did Fringe.
I'm perfectly fine with all that, and yet, like, even 5 years ago, I couldn't, like, stand the thought of watching sci-fis and stuff, but now I'm perfectly fine with it, and it's awesome.
Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. If you ever want a funny show, Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. It's great. It's Canadian. I don't like British comedy.
Yeah.
But I love Canadian humor. I do.
Oh, me too. Jim Carrey.
It's so fucking raunchy. Like, there's an episode on Todd and the Book of Pure Evil where, like, like some dude like has like a giant like monster dick.
A what?
A monster dick.
Well,
like
no, I heard that part, but
like his
what,
dick
who?
becomes this guy on the show. You just have to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
It's like Trailer Park Boys, prime example of Canadian humor.
The Orville, I would think well, do you like Family Guy, for example? Like it all?
I do, but
I mean, I'm not big on it like but this is not a cartoon.
I mean, I would watch it. I don't have no problem with cartoons. I don't always care for some of the humor.
Oh, I was gonna show you the thing, but we're recording.
Well, we can always turn it off.
The Orville, yeah.
It's probably been on for a while.
48 minutes, I think
Yeah,
we're
that's
good.
probably good.